Hi, so today's adventure we are at Liverpool Street Station. We're about to go on one of the London walks, a street art tour, to see some Banksy artwork and a lot of other artwork and just some like alternative London things as well. Should be a good time.
I'll start with the piece on the left. Beautiful work by an Irish artist called Conor Harrington. And hopefully by the end of this tour you'll start to recognise some of the techniques used by these artists. Conor for many is truly a good fine artist. He went to the Limerick School of Art from Cork originally, and you can normally tell his work because there's a central male figure dressed as a soldier. He also loves kind of Rococo style. He does men in very flamboyant cravats and collars and ties. So that's Conor Harrington. We'll see more work by him later. The piece in the centre looks a little bit, it's a stencil of perhaps a target on a gun. It's the work of a Chilean artist called Otto Shades. You can just see his tag, his name at the bottom. I'll show you more work by him later, very different actually to this piece. Somebody asked me what this piece meant last week or the week before. And you know what? I have an idea in my head, but I just threw it straight back and said, what does it mean to you? Most of the work I'm showing you today is not political. This guy, he kind of has a political slant. But like when we go to the Tate Modern, people often ask us about that stuff, you know, the stuff you can never explain, and I just throw it straight back and say, what does it mean to you? So you can put the message together yourself. There we go, yeah. Now, this piece here, anybody from Germany here? We've got a German artist called Ronzo. Ronzo is obsessed with the idea of a post-apocalyptic London. He thinks the nuclear bomb will drop, and maybe, I don't know whether he thinks that's what we're going to look like, I'm not sure. But there is a good example of people tagging over a work and that, you know, giving us a new meaning. If you look in the top right hand corner, you can see the R for Ronzo. That's his little tag, a little baseball cap. What we call a throwy or a throw up. So they're bubble, you know, bubble letters. We used to do doodles in our homework books at school, yeah. And then they might put shadows, and then they might get more sophisticated and they'll work up to something called a piece or a masterpiece. And one artist might spend years honing his masterpiece. And blow betide anybody that goes over a masterpiece. There is a code on the street that says you should never go over anybody else's work. That's not adhered to in London. Not enough wall. The work here lasts about 6 months on average. So this is an artist called Shock One. So he's a London-based artist. He's one of Banksy's contemporaries. In fact, you can find a very famous interview that he did with Banksy online from about 12 years ago. And Shock One was the last artist to have a show at Banksy's gallery, pictures on walls, before it closed down recently. Pink car is an original Banksy, which is why it's protected, by the way. So, before I tell you the name of the work, the car has been here for about 20 years. It was kind of like one of those focal points. You used to say, I'll see you at the orange car. That's what it used to look like. If you're wearing sunnies, by the way, you might want to flick them up. You might get a slightly better view of these pictures. It's quite great. So that's the car. So 10 years ago, Banksy comes along in the middle of the night, spray paints it this dark pink colour, and in the front window, he put an image of death, the Grim Reaper. And so it was known as the Triumph of Death. Now the Triumph in this case is actually the GT6. It's a British-made sports car made in the 1970s.
take this way too far, or with the nasty scar. Got a long list of ex-lovers, they'll tell you I'm insane, and I'll write your name. I'm a nightmare dressed like a daydream. Oh, it's gonna go down in flames, and I was worth the pain. They'll tell you I'm insane, and you love the game. We'll take this way too far, we'll leave you breathless with the nasty scar. A long list of slides, they'll tell you I'm insane. So today we're going to the Sherlock Holmes Museum at 221B Baker Street, but we got here really late because he snoozed his alarm. It's okay. And so there's a really big line down the block. But we're going anyway because I really want to see it. If you ever visit the Sherlock Museum, don't make the same mistake we just did. One, we didn't realize you have to get tickets from the shop before you get in line for the museum. You don't get like tickets at the door. And so this is your ticket and you have to go into the shop, buy it, and then go get in line for the museum. And if you already were in line before you realized that, maybe leave someone to keep the spot while you go get the tickets, because now we're even further back than we were before, but we have tickets.